Welcome back to Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ollie Hayes, and today I'm reading the player ratings for Everton 2, Southampton nil, the final ever game at Goodison Park. So obviously, as you can probably tell, my voice is a little bit gone from yesterday. Obviously, as we know, it was a fantastic atmosphere for everyone involved at Goodison Park, but also everyone outside, welcoming the bus with all the blue flares and all the ticker tape and stuff like that. So just a fantastic afternoon to see off the grand old lady. But today I'm going to be giving you my player ratings for the 2-0 victory against Southampton. So we'll start in goal with Jordan Pickford, and I think he gets a 7 from me. He was relatively untested. A few good saves, one in particular from Ross Stewart, and then one on the rebound, which him and Jake O'Brien sort of bundled behind for a corner for Southampton. But I thought other than that, he was relatively untested. So I think a 7 is probably a fair reflection for Jordan Pickford. And obviously, it was great to hear his song ringing around Goodison Park for the first time since it's obviously birth at Fulham away last week. But yeah, Jordan Pickford gets a 7 from me. So an absolutely fantastic performance once again, showing why he's England number one. But moving into the back four now, we'll start with Vitaly Mykolenko, and he gets a 7 as well from me. Never really caught out of position, looked assured, dealt with Southampton very well. They've got some pacey wingers, Southampton. You look at Kamaldeen Sulemana, for example. So obviously Mykolenko tasked with dealing with him. He did very well. He looked assured. So yeah, Mykolenko gets a 7 from me. We're moving into the two centre halves now. We'll start with Jarrad Branthwaite, the Rolls Royce of a centre half, Jarrad Branthwaite, and he gets an 8 from me. He was so calm, led the back four very well. Obviously, in the absence of James Tarkowski, you do sort of lack that natural leader that you do usually have at centre half, and Branthwaite's massively stepped up to the task since Tarkowski's injury. So yeah, definitely an 8 from me yesterday. I think the biggest one for me, there was one where a long ball was played over by Southampton, and it was sort of a foot race between him and I think it was either Sulemana or I'm not fully sure who it was, but he won that foot race and it was so calm on the ball, turned on it and just played the ball straight back into midfield. And it just shows how cool, calm and collected he's been on the ball. He's really playing his trade very well. So Jarrad Branthwaite gets an 8 from me. And his centre-back partner, Jake O'Brien, slightly worse. I'm going to give him a 7, but it was another solid performance at centre-back for him. Obviously, we've been used to seeing him play at right-back under David Moyes since Moyes has been appointed as Everton manager. But yeah, as I said before, another solid performance for Jake O'Brien at centre-back. Probably looking to nail down that place for next season, and obviously looking to play alongside Jarrad Branthwaite for the remainder of this season and also next season. So I think there's every chance that he can do that. I think he showed that he's decent at centre-back, as he is also decent at right-back as well. But yeah, yesterday I think he was just a little bit worse than Branthwaite. I think Branthwaite overshadowed him a little bit. So that's why I've given him a 7. And then moving to right-back, our captain, number 23, Seamus Coleman, I am going to give him a 7, purely for the appreciation he got. Obviously, we didn't get to see much of him getting subbed off after just half an hour with an injury, but I think in the times that we did get to see him, he looked calm on the ball, winning a header and turning player over for Everton on the far side from where I was at right back. But yeah, a 7 for me. The appreciation he got before kickoff, when his name got read out in the team news, was absolutely fantastic to see, and he massively deserves all the appreciation he gets. So yeah, Coleman gets a 7 from me. A decent performance from him for the small cameo that he got at the start of the game in his first start since August. Moving into the midfield three now, we'll start with James Garner, and he gets a 7 as well from me. I'm starting to see a little bit of a trend here. Did well to break up the play. Obviously, he's just that Mr. Consistent. He shows just a decent 6, 7 out of 10 performance every single week. Yeah, again, once again, there's not a lot to say about James Garner. He does just break up the play quite well, does the simple things quite well, does the quiet things quite well. So that's why he gets a 7 from me. Moving to his centre midfield partner, you can tell my voice is going a little bit more now. I'm going to give Idrissa Gana Gay an 8. I think he was absolutely everywhere all the time. I really hope he stays in the summer, signs a new contract, because he's been absolutely fantastic for us. He seems to be getting better with age, Idrissa Gana Gay. So, every credit to him. But yeah, he gets an 8 from me yesterday. He was absolutely all over the pitch, covering every single blade of grass, and I thought he was fantastic. So, yeah, an 8 for Idrissa Gana Gay. And then moving to Abdoulaye Doucouré, he gets a 7 in what looks like it's a goodbye. Obviously, waving goodbye. He was very upset, very emotional during the lap of honour at the end of the game. I thought he brought energy. He was decent in possession at times. Obviously, lost the ball a few times here and there, but he brought energy and really set the press quite well yesterday for David Moyes' side. So, yeah, not much more to say about Abdoulaye Doucouré either. I thought he got a 7, and that's probably a fair representation for him yesterday. So, moving into where it matters now and where the ratings are going to be slightly different than 7s and 8s. We're going to the front three, and we'll start with Dwight McNeil. And I know I said that. Dwight McNeil gets a 7 from me. He tried at times. He got a decent assist for Ndiaye, actually, and what looked like it was a shot maybe turned a very good through ball for Ndiaye, who did very well with it. And we'll get on to Ndiaye shortly. But yeah, he tried to create as much as he could, Dwight McNeil. He was decent from a few set pieces, putting in some balls which were testing Southampton's defence, but just really lacked that full cutting edge which maybe he might get back after a full pre-season when he's got a bit of match fitness back in his legs. But yeah, Dwight McNeil gets a 7 from me. And then moving to the left-hand side, Iliman Ndiaye gets a 9 from me. I have actually been a little bit critical of Iliman Ndiaye in recent weeks. I've, said that he's maybe lacking that little bit of match sharpness, which we've seen at the start of the season where he was being, fantastic on the ball and being our little wizard on that left-hand side. But he showed yesterday just how much of a good player he is, showed his quality, two fantastic goals. The first one, scoring with his left foot from the edge of the box, was absolutely fantastic, gave Aaron Ramsdale absolutely no chance and just shows his quality on the ball. But also the second goal as well, the close control to get round Ramsdale and slot it into an empty net was also just as good as the first, in my opinion. So two fantastic goals. I think it's quite fitting that he was the man to score the last two goals at Goodison Park, and every credit to him because he's been absolutely fantastic for us this season. He's been a revelation, only £20 million from Marseille. So yeah, it's just great to see him on the score sheet, and it almost felt right that he was the last man to score the goal at Goodison just because of the season that he has had. But moving to the number 9 now, or should I say the number 14, it was obviously Beto that started for David Moyes. I'm going to give Beto a 9 as well. Unlucky not to have scored, about a yard offside for his two chances that he did actually find the back of the net, but for a fantastic performance for John-Philippe Mateta in the FA Cup final against Manchester City, I think Beto probably had the best link-up play of a striker in the country at the weekend. He showed an absolutely fantastic performance, and as I said before, unlucky not to be on the score sheet, but I think his performance warrants a 9 for me. So yeah, Beto gets the 9, and that rounds off the starting 11. So we'll go into the substitutions now. Obviously, the first substitution I mentioned briefly earlier was Seamus Coleman coming off after about half an hour. Ashley Young came on for him, and I'm going to give him a 7. He did well, obviously, coming on for Seamus Coleman, but he showed just decent experience. He was quite good at crossing the ball, actually, for once for Ashley Young, which was good to see. He was creating a few different chances off the right-hand side, but I thought he did well coming on for Coleman, but he just sort of measured the expectations and just showed good experience to see us through. Obviously, what was an eventual clean sheet. So fair play to Ashley Young, obviously, in his last game at Goodison Park, in his last game as a home player for Everton. And I think he's been an absolutely fantastic servant in the years that he's been at Everton. So fair play to him. You've got to wish him the best to whatever he goes on to next. And I think he's going to be, a lot of Everton fans will hold fond memories of his time at Everton, playing as sort of our backup right back at times, or our backup left back, or even our starting full back at times. But yeah, Ashley Young in his final ever home appearance for Everton gets a 7 for me. So moving to Jack Harrison now, I'm going to give him a 6. He didn't do a lot. He offered some fresh legs, some much needed energy where the game kind of hit a little bit of a lull. So yeah, but there's nothing really to write home about with Jack Harrison. Didn't really do a lot, didn't really create a lot, but offered some much needed energy and much needed fresh legs at the time he did come on. But at the same time, Carlos Alcaraz came on, and I'm going to give him a 7. I think he offered a little bit more energy than Jack Harrison. It would have been bumped up to an 8, but for his indecision between passing to Jack Harrison or taking the shot on himself when he was through on goal. But I thought he was creating chances, and he showed, similar to the Fulham performance, that he is a very good super sub. He comes on and changes games and really affects games positively when he does come on. So Carlos Alcaraz gets a 7 from me, and that sort of rounds off his time, obviously, as a home player of Everton. Do we sign him or not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments on that one. Obviously, that's a whole other debate that we're going to have at some point. But moving on now to Michael Keane, I'm going to give Michael Keane a 6. Obviously, came on for the injured Jared Branthwaite, but I thought he was solid. I thought he warranted a 6. He was decent at times. Obviously, didn't really put a foot wrong. Didn't give Southampton too many chances. So yeah, again, not much to write home about with Michael Keane, but he gets a 6 from me and showed a solid performance in his probably one of his last home games as an Everton player also. And then the final substitution was Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He came on and then went up front as a pair, as a front two centre forwards with Beto. I'm going to give Dominic Calvert-Lewin a 5. I think he struggled to get into the game. Maybe showed a little bit of disinterest at times. Obviously, it is difficult to come on as a striker, especially in a system that David Moyes likes to play. It's difficult to come on and really affect a game. Obviously, you do have to do a lot of dirty work and winning headers, getting knockdowns and stuff like that, which I think Beto did absolutely fantastically. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I think, struggled to impose himself a little bit, which is why I'm going to give him a 5. Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh there, but I'm not too sure. But just before we wrap up, obviously that wraps up the substitutions. I've got to talk about the fans. You've got to give the fans a 10 out of 10 because the atmosphere that was created before the game, during the game, even after the game was absolutely fantastic. So a pat on the back to all the Evertonians that were there, or even inside the ground, outside the ground. It's a 10 out of 10 for the Everton fans. And it felt right putting the Evertonians in the player ratings for the final time at Goodison Park and really giving a nod to all of those fans that were there to see goodbye to the old lady to Goodison Park. But that is all for the player ratings today. Obviously, you can tell my voice is massively on the edge now. It's definitely going now. But that is all from me today. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.